Oh, hi and welcome everyone and welcome back. I'm here with Michelle and let's see, so we are live here. Yeah, we are. I'm here with Michelle Noerianto. Is that correct?
That's correct. Hi, Eva. It's lovely to be here with you and all of your gorgeous friends. Lots of angels there, no doubt.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I hope so. I'm so glad that you are here. And as you already know, for you who tuned in earlier, it's a mix up with times. It usually happens when I'm scheduling. Yeah, well, scheduled time. But we are here right now, and it's early morning for Michelle, so she had to rush a bit here. But she's all right, and she's here. She's just lovely and
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I just woke up. I've got my coffee. Luckily, husband makes it for me. So I popped a bit of tea on and here I am. I've rolled out of bed and I'm used to doing my lives as soon as I wake up. So this is great to be here with
Oh,
your
that's
king.
perfect. And you're already set in the your state of mind and vibration and everything. So that's perfect. That's perfect. I'm going to do a short introduction about you. And let me pop up here what I have written about you, because you live in Australia. And I got to know about you when I started to open up an account on Instagram. And I was starting to do interviews here on Facebook, and I started to follow you there. And there was something about your frequency and the messages that you had. And I was like, oh, I need to get her on someday and on Facebook and do an interview. And the time has passed by and I kept following you. And when this event of Express and Manifest turned up in December, I just felt I need to reach out to you, and you accepted, and I felt so blessed for you accepting that. That was amazing.
Eva, I mean, how amazing that you're actually an amazing leader, because it takes a lot of courage, one, to reach out to people that you don't know, and trust is, most people wouldn't trust a bunch of people off, random platforms speaking on your platform. And I don't know, you shine. Definitely was a frequency thing, us meeting, and I've set the intentions over my platform to meet people such as you, so I'm eternally grateful.
The honor is mine. And you are the founder of, do you say eKa or eKa?
eKa. It's
eKa.
eKa is, yeah, it's an ancient Sanskrit word, and it's actually a word for oneness when you're speaking about God, meaning that all of us are connected in. And my husband was given the name in dream state when I was seeking a name for the business. And so, yeah, the alignment was incredible. So when I looked it up, these ancient words have lots of meanings, and that ticked every single box that I was shown in the spirit realm for where I was to be heading with what I was speaking about, what I'm doing. And it's not just one thing. And that's where I was struggling. In marketing, they say, choose one thing, choose a niche. I was like, mine's so broad. I can't do that. So eKa is everything. And it's
Yeah,
great.
it's a circle.
It
Full
is.
circle. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you live in Sydney, Australia.
I do.
Yeah.
Blessed. Yeah.
So you also have, or this eKa business that you have was birthed out of dreams and visions
Yes.
with a community goal to shift into the new earth vibration. And I do love that new earth vibration. So you are going to talk more about that later. So you are also clairaudient, and you are using sound healing, right?
Yeah.
432 hertz. And what I do know about that is just as old as the symbol of eKa. The 432 is the frequency where you are connecting with the spiritual guides, other collectives, and being used for the spiritual community to connect with a higher frequency of information. So this is going to be interesting to know why you or how you ended up on that. And you also, yeah, you got on there, right?
It doesn't always work. The vibrations are so subtle. It doesn't always work on these platforms, especially Zoom. Can you hear that? Usually it doesn't work, but it works on Instagram. That's why I chose Instagram as a platform to just start getting bolder and just teach myself to be courageous.
Well, that's kind of funny that it doesn't
Yeah,
work
no.
on Facebook. Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know that, because I've seen you on doing these crystal balls that you have, and I was kind of wondering why this sounds so good there. And we have tried to do that live here on Facebook earlier with a other participant, and it didn't make any sound at all. So
That's right. Yeah, the microphones are really sensitive, and you know, look, maybe one of your viewers will help us solve this solution, because this needs to go wide and far. Spirits show me the ancient things are coming back, and 432 hertz is what brings all of the healing, the reconnection between spirit and the vibration that's happening in this earth, which is rather dense, right?
mhm.
So I'm passionate about introducing sound healing into every home.
Well, if you want to listen to sound healing, you can pop into Michelle's Instagram, because she has uploaded a couple of videos there, so you can listen to it. And you have a YouTube channel. We are going to put that in the description here later on. So what we are going to do now is getting ready for getting to know Michelle. So being Michelle and the spiritual Michelle, when did that started? You were probably born with it, but some part of your life, you stumble into something that put you on that direction, that where you are right now.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I've just closed the door because I can hear my son bringing the dog home,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to yell out. Just a minute. I'm on the phone, honey. Here we are in our lives, our busy lives. Like, my son doesn't live here, but he took our gorgeous doggie for a sleepover. Yes, it's very easy for me to know when and how that happened, because it was so dramatic. It was the year that my son was born. And he's 28 now, turning 29 next year. And I was literally physically zapped in the head by a blue light bolt. It was energy just entered in through the crown, and whew, I was vibrating so fast that I thought I was going to die. And I heard a voice externally first that told me a secret name of a man that was oppressing us using some kind of mischief. And then I started communicating in my head. I wasn't a believer of God at that stage of my life, truthfully. I had cycles of seeking, as we do as spiritual beings, but because I'd suffered so much, I'd kind of given up on the fact that there was a greater being. I just kind of thought, I'm wandering here and everything's meaningless. And yeah, then that voice said it in my head, because I said, is that you, God? And if it is, could you say it in my head? That was intuition, I think. You know, I just sort of thought, if it isn't an almighty power, it can get inside. And then it started communicating nonstop with me, and to this day still communicating.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty obviously obvious. Well, I love that. So even though you heard this voice, you needed to embrace it and start to work with it in some time of your life. And I imagine when you had your son, he took a lot of your time, and so I guess the communication turned into a co-working somehow, some way down the road. Will you take us there? What happened? How did you move forward?
Well, I mean, the story is rather interesting because it was immediate, and And what God was doing, like God is a frequency. That I am convinced of. In order to access this spirit connection again, we are divine living spirits within a body, but we're not activated until we ask for it. I think this is where the free will, I mean, everybody's journey is so different, but because our story was involving the breaking of a black magic curse, literally, I had to communicate immediately. I was like, the fire, it is fire, and it brewed up in my belly. I could feel it, and it was telling me to say this, say that, say this, and I could hear. It was this disconnect, Eva. It was insane. Like my head was saying, don't say that you'll embarrass your husband in front of all his Muslim friends, for example. I come from a Christian background, in my family line. I'm married to a man that comes from an Islamic family line. And so Spirit was asking me to tell my husband in front of all of his film crew that God said XYZ. And I was like, no, but guess what? This is what the amazing thing, like the zap, I could probably say, or maybe I imagined that. The voices, I could say, I was an expert at putting things under the carpet. Maybe I imagined that. Maybe I'm going crazy. The feeling of almost wanting to die when it hit me, the vibration was so intense. But the fact that my husband and all of his friends turned and agreed with me, that was the Spirit. It was like we would say Pentecost experience, where the Spirit just got into all of them by default. And they were like, oh, heard God answers prayer. And I'm like, what are they talking about? I don't even believe in God. But my husband's there witnessing. He was my witness. Yeah. And this is where we're all connected, regardless of label. I'm not a person that enjoys labeling people.
Well, I love that. So how did you started into moving that path? Because that was probably a important encouragement from the other side to you to move forward.
Yeah, I think what I learned in my journey is that Spirit starts to speak to you about your tidy up first. A lot of healers jump into trying to work on people as soon as they're given a gift. And this is where it can get messy. And let's be honest, God starts speaking to you about, some things that feel not so great. Like I do a lot of speaking engagements, or I used to, and people would say to me, why would God speak to you and not to me, for example? And I didn't even need to answer that question, because you can feel into it, right? Pride is a big blocker for having, and if there's pride sitting in someone, they'll see pride in you. And this is for every single vibration, right? So there was a lot of shaking out of me, a lot of inner healing that had to happen to me because of my abuse, for example. I had to shift out shame. I had to shift out rage. And I would hear in sleep state, oh, this and
you got frozen. I don't know if you can hear me, but your picture has frozen and the sound has slipped away. So either if you are, oh, you're back. You need to unmute yourself. Oh, that's better.
Right. Sorry, I think the internet dropped out. So I've just prayed over my screen, like everybody needs to know how to do that to set your portal. Then you get sort of pushed into a state of courage, which operates from the heart, and you need to drop your own self-defenses and what people think of you. That was the hardest lesson for me that Spirit was guiding through as part of the healing process. In order to operate with an open heart means that I am open to criticism, I'm open to being judged, I'm open to being the mouthpiece, because from the heart you need to voice activate. Then you need an open gate, And that's when spirit, once you open your heart, you'll be used to work on other people successfully. And I would hear things for other people, and boy, I mean, to reveal someone's deep inner secrets or the trauma root or what's actually going on. They might come in as a practitioner, or even like back in the days when I was in church, they would just come in for me to pray over them or anoint them, because spirits taught me that anointing is very powerful. But they would be attracted to come, and I would hear what the root was, and boom, you know, like it makes things very swift and fast with energy transfer.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it does. And so how did the community receive that? Because when you start to you know, be public with your gifts, and I guess it's a lot of fear that you have to work through, and it takes a lot of power to stand there in your own energy and hold your beliefs, because as you said, people always come in and see you from their point of view or perspective. So that took a lot of courage actually to be there. So how did you deal with that? How did you deal with that?
I'm naturally a very emotional being, and I used to see that as a negative, but you co-create with emotions, and I would cry a lot. Sorry, the dog's barking.
Yeah,
This
no
is
problem.
very interesting, all the interruptions happening.
This is from heart to heart, so everything can happen. That is a
my heart's open, and I would go and speak to a group of 500, for example, and I would cop a lot of judgment or negativity, because when you're speaking esoteric things are not for the masses, although I believe they will be once people are activated. So I would go and I would the first speaking engagement that I had, spirit made me write down notes and then lose them supernaturally as a lesson. And, you know, God laughs, you know, like it's very funny. So I went in thinking, oh, I can't talk. I get like stressed or worried about saying the wrong thing. Actually, to be honest, public speaking is my biggest fear, or it was. It still is. I'm still shifting that fear. Fear is not welcome in this house is my mantra, you know, like I'm doing this for the divine good in my mind. And I've been pushed, and had many people had dreams saying that you're going to do this, and it aligns. So, and then I would cry when people wouldn't receive the message, and spirit would then say to me, it's not about you, it's about what I want to do through you. So I'd be like, okay, you know, but I'd always meet ones and twos. And this is where we underestimate the power of the bushfire. I always hear the word bushfire, probably because I'm Australian. Australia, when we are in the hot season, it just takes one ember to, you know, it spreads like wildfire with the wind and the breath of the feminine of the spirit, and the breath just pushes that along. And I would hear this like a mantra over and over. I'm going to turn this spark into a bushfire. I'm going to turn this spark into a bushfire. And that excites me. And then when you're working with the ones and twos that you meet, they'd say, you were sent for me, and what you said aligns completely with my story. I realized then the power of the spirit honing in a special love song just for the person that had ears to hear, and the rest, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what they think of me, although that's been very difficult to work through as a clairaudient, because I'd have to change my topic like this. I remember going to one event where they had asked me to speak about something, and I'll always say to them, sure, I'll attempt to speak about that, but if spirit switches me up, I will have to be obedient to that. So if you're in agreement with that, like, let's book the date. But one of them, it switched up in the car there, and spirit said to me, I need you to speak at this event about voices in your head. And I was like, oh, please. I knew that would bring a lot of judgment potentially, or like alienate the masses. But I've seen the biggest miracle out of the one girl that I met. We've literally changed her life around. the three of us working together. Yeah, it's just beautiful. And all the angels that were present. I mean, you know, it's just so cool. It's addictive.
That is amazing to hear. And what I reacted to was that you said you had a public fear to speak, you know,
Yeah.
public, but you also said that you started out almost like talking for a big, huge group, around 500 people. Yeah. I was like, girl.
And that topic was on demons, you know, like you, and that was in a Christian community. God bless them. You know, like I'm no longer identifying in any religious group. Like consciousness doesn't need to be boxed in. And these are just beautiful things that I'm learning that as Spirit's leading me, you know. The whole point of consciousness is to break out of that matrix of having to label anyone or anything. We are love. And I do speak about Christ consciousness. I believe that's what Christ was coming to say and why religious systems took him out. But yeah, that was really interesting. And I love to speak on those topics now because there's so many sitting back suffering that won't mention it because they think they're crazy or they think that the masses can't identify. And we're in this wave now where that darkness is being exposed. So I'm kind of pleased that all this happened to me a long time ago, so that I feel like now is my time to be confident in teaching what I actually know. And even working in that realm, the entity realm, how do you cast them out? You use the highest vibration of love. And that blows people's minds. They're like, that doesn't seem right, you know, like, but we are one. Universe is one song. We're all if we're all working together, it's all divine will. I learned the most in my season of oppression with the demonic realm. I mean, they smacked me around. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy, but I learned how to battle. I learned how to fight. I learned how to pray.
Definitely. And if we are talking about, so that Johnny just tuned in here, Johnny Womack, and she is the definition of love, so she definitely know what you are talking about right now. She is writing poems from the heart, and she is definitely, you know, into this. The highest power is pure love. So yeah, well, I just need to say that most of us who start in our topic and started to talk to people are usually going not live or in front of a group of 500 people. We usually take it one-on-one and, you know, grow into it. So I just want to say that you are amazing. You just went out there and took the confrontation at once. You overcome your own fear, and that is what we all need to take with us from this part of the story, that face your fear, because when you have done that and trust the information that comes, you need to get your voice heard. So just overcome the fear, just go out there and trust what's going on and what's going to happen. That is a beautiful story so far. So I guess that made you go into, because you mentioned it earlier too, that you're receiving information from about the person that you are talking about, and that is something that you can use when you have your private sessions or therapy sessions with people. So is that what turned out for you next, or how did you move along from?
The moving into the full-time, I mean, I started working part-time on people. I would dedicate every spare hour that I wasn't at work, and I would see miracles every single week, and I would beg Spirit, let me do this full-time. I was working in the media industry, in film and magazines and publishing. And I've done that since I was a baby, a teenager, you know. In fact, my first job was on television, and there I laugh because I wasn't afraid to speak about non-spiritual things. You know what I mean? So there's the irony in all of it. And yet I left that job because I didn't like being the front person. I prefer to work behind the scenes. But yeah, people would be divinely sent to my house, and usually it would be a person that has tried every other route, be it medical, spiritual, you know, they've tried everything, and they're in a state of desperation. And that's the type that I love working with, because they're a little more open to trusting that what I hear or what I feel with a hand on the body is accurate, and it usually was. And I was still developing the skills. You've got to learn how to use the gifts that spirit gives you, right? Especially the hands-on thing. I mean, I'll give you an example. I had a few experiences where I'd put hands on somebody and I would get a repelling, it would zap me off, like it was an energy that threw me off to the other side of the room. I used to think that was God, but now that I understand magnetism and those relationships have shown me that there was something within that person that was very powerful, but not as powerful as the power running through my hands. But my Holy Spirit didn't want to connect with that person, and so I was misreading. I was and these were even at my door, I've had that happen. I've invited someone in and there was this repulsion and they couldn't come in. The firewall was put up. You know, we talk computer talk and we've got a firewall. There was the vibrations were too that person wasn't ready. You know, I'm not saying that nothing's welcome here, but that person wasn't ready. And to clean up someone's house, even though they're asking for it, if they're not ready, then that can make them vulnerable too, because if you leave an empty vessel, other entities can come in. So that was a big learning curve. But after years and years and years of begging, Spirit would say to me, I'm not releasing you into full-time yet because you're going to reach many in your industry. And I would laugh at that because, as you know, in the media industry, there aren't many that speak about spiritual things. And I'm a chatterbox. I was freelance. Every set that I was on, I would be talking about, they call me Nori, which is short for my surname. And I laugh at that because Nori means light in Aramaic and Arabic. And they'd say, Nori, what did you do this weekend? And I'd say, blah, 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 just tell the truth, you know, and they'd be like, oh, that's so weird, you know, and they'd mock me. But I never got offended by mockery. I see mockery as often intellect struggling to join the dots. So I would just say, well, you've got me on speed dial. Give me a call should anything happen. And lots of those people have called. You know, one got stuck in a realm while taking a drug, you know, just a playful drug. I don't take drugs and I don't recommend it. I think breath is all we need, but that person got stuck and in the spirit realm heard my name. I flew in with a key and opened up the door and they were able to get back to their body and they were terrified. And so I got this text message saying, Nori, were you praying for me on the weekend? And I'm like, no, but I always pray for you because I love you. And then they told me, they said, or they didn't tell me, they said, do you have a key? And I wrote back, lol, yes, what did you see? And then, you know, we got talking. And so here we can challenge the cognitive dissonance that is in most people with their programming or their history with their family upbringing, their cultural beliefs or their religious beliefs, for example, that program us to think small, actually. And Spirit was just activating that person lovingly to think bigger, and he was like, maybe I need to pray and meditate. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool, man. There's realms within the realms. Like, it's awesome. Why would you want to stay here? You know, here is the apple of the eye, I believe, but Earth's going to shift as more people grasp this and pull the light in.
Definitely.
So I didn't even answer your question. Sorry, this is how I chat sometimes, just with excitement and bubbling over. But 2017, when the Virgin appeared in the sky, I had the most insane activations and was told full-time now, full-time now, full-time now. So that was pre-COVID, thankfully, and I've been super busy since then.
Well, we do love, I was about to say we do love COVID, but I don't mean it that way. But yeah, it's definitely a part in the Ascension program. So definitely. So
definitely.
successful
Yeah.
in some way. But oh, I love that story, and we do love when you chat. You just start to chat, and we want you to do that more because that is giving us a hint about who you are and what you are doing. I didn't know that you have been working in the media business, so that is probably something that you are going to use more for your work, probably.
I don't know. I just believe nothing is wasteful, right? Everything we've learned. People think, oh, I've been on the wrong path and now I'm on the right path, for example. I disagree with that mindset. Nothing, spirit doesn't waste anything. I got attacked by demons in Asia. Ancient gods that have been worshipped attacked me and tumbled me around for 9 months, as did my mother as well. Crazy stuff. My husband would say, why is that happening to you? What? And I just believe that it was God's divine will to teach me things. Like we're in the school of learning in earth plane. And yeah, so I believe that we will use every good gift that we have had throughout careers, throughout education. Like it's all going to be used for good eventually, in very powerful ways, which is super exciting because nothing's wasteful.
Nothing is wasteful. And I also believe that everything that we are going through is somehow preparing us for something new. So always extract the good things from it and never regret anything you do. So definitely no wrong paths. You are always on the right spot in your life for somehow, whether you like it or not, but it's
agreed. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I like to teach clients that people think I've suffered a lot of trauma, for example. Was trauma bad then? Once we like trauma was used as an activator to teach me what love wasn't, and therefore I can love powerfully because I have understood the lesson of duality in, okay, that's what love isn't. I have experienced and tasted that firsthand over and over for the first quarter of my life, and now oh yeah. So, people come in and they're very traumatized or they can't forgive a perpetrator, for example. I teach them about Judas energy that spirits taught me about. Like, you need someone to sell you out if you're going to do the greater things. You need somebody to show you that it's valuable, therefore I needed to steal. So once you grasp that concept, you can rationalize things like sexual abuse, because that's stealing of the light, the auric field. You can I'm not saying those things are good, but God uses them to teach you that you are a beautiful jewel, and that's why darkness was attracted to you.
Definitely. Sometimes hard to take it in, but definitely a process that we need to go through in order to grow. Absolutely. And moving on, because you have your own business, or are you co-working with other people in that?
I saw in my visions that I would have a collaborative group of holistic workers wheeling energies in together and work. I saw that I ended up with many healing spaces. So in faith, I've tried this before with others, but one of those, it just wasn't divine timing yet. So energetically, I set up eKa to do that with that intention, with a beautiful Maori friend, and then she was floated out and she went back to New Zealand. It wasn't going to be her, but I have attracted, interestingly, another stylist friend from the media industry that's working hand in hand with me. So we have sort of set up a wing of eKa, and she does things like energy work, she does Akashic readings, she does crystal healings, she does feng shui. So it's very different things to what I do, but complementary, none the same. And I didn't know much about Akashic readings, for example, but I'm starting to see the beauty in all of it. And so we set up a little space in the Northern Beaches out of a herbalist store. We rented the room, and the rents, you know, was quite expensive, and we were jumping into it like little girls going, oh, what are we doing for the spirit here? We're being guided. We set this name up, the healing room, and then boom, that night, one of my clients, I'd only worked energetically on her once, Karina, she texted me and said, I had a dream about you last night. I saw you in a new space, because I'd been working in a room at home before then. She said, I saw you in a new space, and it's like a pharmacy, but it's all natural products. It's all herbs. And then you've got this little room at the back, and it's called the healing room. And she drew a map of the shop. The only difference was she put the door on the wrong side. And I showed my friend Kristen, who's currently the business partner, and we just laughed and laughed. We said, oh my gosh, this is insane. We are one upstairs. This is beautiful. But 9 months into being in that place, Spirit started speaking to me and saying, this is a heart space room. It's small. You've outgrown the heart. Now you're stepping into the womb. And another client rang me and said that there was this shop available 1 block away. Spirit showed me how the shops were mirrored, and it's in a trade center. And I was told that out of the womb, I'm going to start trading. I know energetically that we co-create from this lower based belly point, right? You know, with the frequencies, we're talking frequencies. And so I was showing all these miracles, signs and wonders, but just this week, Eva, the agent, has blocked us from getting that shop. And there's a Buddhist lady in front of the shop. She said, God told her, she's a client as well. She said, God told her no one can have that shop but me. And I was like, this is bizarre. But anyway, I'm trusting the process. So we've moved into a collaborative space to learn from that beautiful lady, Claire, that runs a wellness center. She has maybe up to 80 healers working out of that space. They just pay minimal rents. And that's the vision that I was shown. I was shown I have spaces where people can come and go easily. No locks on the doors is what I saw in my dream. So this is like new earth. We're back to the old ways, you know, no locks on the doors. Imagine that in Sydney. Like, I mean, I say that to people and they go, are you mad? I said, well, that's what I saw. And I'm trusting divine timing. I'm really excited for what Spirit's birthing through us.
That is a divine path laying before you there. And what a journey. What a journey. I totally love it. I got goosebumps when you're talking about it. So it felt so amazing there. But I also want to ask you, because when we were on this Express and Manifest, and we started to talk a bit afterwards there, through Instagram messages there, I received a balm. Do you call it balm?
Balm, yeah. It's a balm. My activation balm.
Yeah. So that got me wondering, are you manufacturing your own products? Because you also have a talked about, was it a deodorant and hygiene products? So
yep.
Tell us more about that. What's going on there?
These are in the downloads in 2017. I will explain to you that the girl that I set eKa up with, she's a Maori and she's from a mystic line. She waltzed in and she said, oh, Michelle, Spirit told me that you have to do a sleep fast. And I'm very accustomed to doing food fasts. If you're working with somebody that has an entity, it's very beneficial to food fast. So I understood the concept of fasting, but I laughed at her. I said, oh, I can't do a sleep fast. I need my beauty sleep. Like, I'm a sleepy girl. Like I even this morning, Eva, I'm just climbing out of bed. I didn't know. I thought I was on with you at 9 and not 7. I was still asleep, you know. And anyway, she said, let's try one night, see what happens. So we just got into the zone. We started praying and asking for dreams, revelations and things to pull in. And we saw so much in one night. And that went for 9 months. I didn't sleep for 9 months. I know that sounds insane, but I was instructed to have 33-minute naps twice a day. I was vibrating like a Buddhist monk. People on the street would come up to me and say, I'm in love with you. You're gorgeous. I'm not that gorgeous. I'm 56, like, you know, but young people would be like just hugging me. And it was a very strange experience, but it's all vibrational. And I'd say, or people online would say, oh, I'm just in love with you. I want to marry you. And I'm like, you're not in love with me. You're in love with the energy. This is God. And God is calling you to step back into your pure, authentic self, you know, because you've been wandering without knowing who you really are. Give yourself the love that you're giving me, you know, and then you'll find God. And so that was the year that I got lots of visions, like third eye absolutely activated, shown lots of things for the future. And I created a vision board of everything Spirit showed me. And I was shown that I was making all these products in my kitchen. It links into the joy that I had as a child. I've always loved cooking. I've always loved making things. I'm like a real homebody. I love like giving people things, and that gave me a lot of joy. But I was singing into the products, and one night after that sleep fast, I noticed after that sleep fast that whenever I was in theta state, God had access to me. It was like the gates were open. So theta brainwave state is that state that you're in half awake, half asleep. It's as you're waking up in the morning, which is why I never rush out of bed. I lie there waiting for the vibration, waiting for the messages to come in. It's also the state that I can get you into with the sound bowls if you're willing. And that's where we can channel and hear messages. And so I got this recipe drip fed into me every single night. God would tell me one ingredient and tell me to get up. Like it's overcoming the weakness of the flesh. The spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. The flesh wants to sleep. The flesh wants to overeat. The flesh wants to do it. The flesh is just our suit, actually, is what I'm coming to realize. And it's holding us down, whereas the spirit is expansive and can travel anywhere you like. But you've got to keep the flesh at the right vibration to hold that activated spirit. And so I would get up and study all night. In fact, my family was so worried about this lack of sleep that they were observing that they had an intervention. And they sat me down. They said, we're really worried about you. I said, can you not see that I'm the happiest and the healthiest that I've ever been? And they couldn't argue that. So I was like, oh, thank you. Instead of reacting like I might have, like, they're trying to block me, I would have like called them on that. I just heard them speaking in love. And so I chose not to come into agreement with the fear that they were exuding. And guess what happened? That just stopped happening. They stopped worrying about me. They became supportive. But at that conversation, they were wanting me to stop doing this stuff for eKa. Stop, you know, this is crazy, Mum. You've gone from earning a lot of money and now you're just like, what are you doing? You're giving everything away. It doesn't make sense. But now they're super supportive, which is beautiful because I didn't come into agreement with fear. And I was shown this recipe. You remember the blood on the window in Egypt when it's all linking into this, right? So we are the temple. And if you anointing actually links into Christos. Christos means anointing, actually. So to activate the Christ within, which people don't realize Christ is in all of us. Like they don't really grasp the concept that the light activation is the activation of the tree of life back to the realms that you came from. Every symbol, and there's about 30 ingredients, so it was a lot of study. It took me quite a few months to understand this symbol means this and that symbol means that, and that's the vibration of this. And I was told that it's an activation balm and that with it I'll see miracles, signs and wonders, not just for people's temple bodies. Yes, I've seen tumors disappear just with putting a tiny, it's all intention, and hand on that person, or I've posted it all over the world. But I would see the land shift and houses shift, using that balm on windows, doors, mirrors. They're all portals, right? The windows, doors, you know, it's all symbols, it's all fractals. And I got so excited. I've taken that balm to every country I've traveled to, including lots of cheeky, naughty places, and popped it on with intention, calling that land back to the light. And I see it as holy work. And I'm never allowed to charge money for that. I mean, people gift me donations, but that is a gift in a bottle from the Spirit. But yes, I was shown that I later have green factories to manufacture things for the collective, and I'm super excited because it's nothing that I ever asked for. It was just given to me in dream state. So who knows?
What a story. That is beautiful. I received that bomb and I haven't used it yet, but now I'm starting connecting my dots here, because you said this magic thing. You were singing in your vibration into the recipes when you are making them. And I love to work with my voice too when I'm doing things. I like to sing, and not on camera but off camera.
Yeah,
So
I get you. Yeah, I get
so when
people.
I'm doing my paintings, I usually are in a, yeah, you enter some altered state of mind when you are doing that. And
Yep.
either I use symbols. I did that a lot before, put symbols into the paintings. And sometimes you can sing, that there is also a vibration. And I have this vision that I will receive a image of what I'm going to do. And on that canvas, I will actually add a bit of that bomb. So that is pretty funny, I think.
Well, I mean, that will create a portal in that person's
Yeah.
house, higher realm, a higher state of consciousness. I'm absolutely joyful. And this is where co-creation with the Spirit is so fun. I'm blessed to understand brainwave states a lot better, and why we're reaching a lot of the artists and creatives such as you, Eva, because the creative side is the right brain, and so too is the spiritual. And all the ancient languages, which is why I study in Hebrew, Sanskrit, and other, I love etymology, but all the ancient languages are right to left for reading. Yeah, even Chinese, it's right to left. Pictograms, everything. We're in the season of emojis. We've come full circle. An emoji can mean many things, whereas you're trapped by one English word, right? But English is left to right. So if you want to see truth with English, you have to look at it backwards. Spirits told me we're in the time of the mirror. And I'm like, wow, like this is so fun, so exciting. So the singing activates gamma brainwave state. Gamma, G, God, Ama, mother. Feminine energy, masculine energy, fire, water, breath, earth, working together. It's the unity. That is the marriage. That is the bride activating with voice activation. They get all this technology. We have Siri activation, right? With the phone. I talk to my phone. I say, Siri, call, blah, blah, blah. And Siri does the work. Well, that technology is consciousness in a fallen matter state. Siri activation is actually, I choose to bless. I choose to co-create with the Spirit. Let's do this. It's going to be fun. It's going to assist humanity. That's where people don't realize that we have such an integral part about a choice to create new earth with intention, power, with love in motion. Like I speak to a lot of religious people, and they think that God's just going to snap fingers and do that. But no, God's using us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been shown anyway. It's co-creation.
Co-creation, definitely. And I so believe that too. And I think that is very important to co-create in almost everything we are doing right now, because we are in that time of co-creation, whether it's on online or in the physical community. And when you were talking about these that we are mirroring the events that are going on, that is how I see portals, because portals are a mirror. And I can't show you that now, but I did a painting a couple of yeah, 35 years ago, something, and it
Wow.
calls existence, and that is an angel coming out from a portal and looking into our world. So yeah, definitely full circle here. Yeah.
It's so amazing, isn't it? I was taken down, I was taken through a mirror. I was sleeping at my friend's house in Perth, Western Australia. It's a long way from here. And it was just at the end of my sleep fast. So it was incredibly high vibrational. And I was having my morning 30-minute nap just to recharge, to get through the day and hear the messages. And I was taken into her mirror in her son's bedroom, up to a heavenly gate. And it was icy, which scared me. Like, it was so cold. And the portal opened within the room. And the girl that was sharing the room with me, she's a bit of a mystic herself. She could see what was happening to me, because I was fighting. My body was fighting, but my spirit was observing, and she felt the cold into the room. And I was people don't realize you're the portal. Like, you are the portal to all these other planes of existence. That's the houses within the houses within the mansions within the mansions, I think, that Christ's speaking about once you get to crystalline state. And yeah, that was an intent. And I was looking down going, I was talking to God going, what am I doing? And then on coming back, I got stuck. And this arm was here and I couldn't come back. This was all new to me. And God said to me, tell your friend to cover the mirror with a silk scarf. I thought, that's interesting. And to put some balm on your third eye and you'll pop back in. And I did. And we were like going, whoa, what's happening here? There's all these mysteries. And God said to me, oh, you're just learning, you're remembering, you're finding your way again. I'm like, okay. But it's pretty interesting, all these divine secrets coming in. I think if we can intentionally set portals of blessings in people's homes, such as with your artwork or my balm on somebody's door, I mean, you and I know that the house is a reflection of what's happening within the body, right? Like, some people's houses feel peaceful and joyful. It's not about how they look at all. It's about how they feel or how they make you feel. That's how your energy is making someone feel. So you can go into somebody's house that's humble and feel so loved and so peaceful and so joyous, or you could step into a mansion and just feel, this place doesn't feel good.
That is some of the old so-called magic teachings, that you are checking the environment of a room or a space, because that will reveal a lot of the energies that are moving through the houses and the persons who are living there. So yeah, and there's definitely a lot of portals even in those houses. So by rearranging and clearing can actually raise the vibration and
that's right. I love doing house clearing. Because spirit will show me exactly where the energy's built up or whether an entity's there. Sometimes there's even a big gatekeeper and then I just sit there and work in that particular corner because that's where the portal is. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, and it's not always demons, you know, in church system, they'll say it's demons. Sometimes it's collective energy build up. For example, like, I grew up in domestic violence. I feel sad for the person that moved into that house if they didn't have the knowledge on clearing, because that energy is that rage is still there, you know, in the collective space. And that's how it works. So if you've got 10 families living in that home entertaining that rage energy, then it creates its own portal.
Definitely, and you are getting affected about the energies when you're living in a community building, and you will absorb a lot of it there. So if you started to clean your own space, you will start to clean the space around you too. Oh, that's amazing. So what are you going to work on next? Because I guess you have an idea of where you are moving. You have something maybe that's
well, the goal was to have that collective shop. We have other healers that want to come and rent the space at a day rate, and we were going to be operating with you know, renting the space for workshops and such. Like a lot of our clients are either artistic or spiritual, and so I want that space to be like a womb for them to nurture their talents. You know, a lot of people aren't in the position. I'm not financially in the position either. I mean, what Spirit's asking me to do in the physical matter realm seems insane, because I'm getting myself into debt without income, and my husband doesn't have the income at the moment either. But I've seen that I'm provided for supernaturally, and I do have the faith of a child to run ahead. I'm a fire horse. Like, apparently I was born the year of the fire horse. So, and I'm generator manifestor. So it's all lining up. I'm like, oh, I see. That's why I'm vision casting for them, and they're going to come and build. And so once I learned that knowledge, I was blessed to see that in some of the groups you've added me into, that there's a lot of other beautiful humans studying human design, for example, and that really helped me solidify, oh, my life path's written in the stars. I get it now. I get it. Like, we are star beings, and I'm entering into the cymatics of as above now. Like, so this trust, this childlike faith of just like, do I have food for today? Yes, great. Let's go. Where are we going? And I talk to Spirit in me saying, what will we do today? It sounds kooky, but that's how I chat. And I'm
I love
engaging.
That's so personal, right? Well,
Yeah, well,
it's a part of you. So why not talk to yourself or to the Spirit?
yeah. And I can see how people who, I mean, I've for years now, decades even, been going to mental health hospitals to anoint or pray for people. And there's a lot of mystics in there. And I think to myself, oh, so I see what happens when they go to the doctor and say that we have a we in us.
Yeah.
Because they get told that they need to be medicated. And, you know, it's very sad that they have knowings, like they queue up to be anointed. There doesn't even need to be a word transaction. They come in and they go, oh, you were sent here. And I'm like, I was. And just eye to eye, this connection, this soul, the souls know. I do the same with homeless people. I'll get down and eye to eye, connect in with their soul, and I'll say to them, I see you. You're holding a grid line. And they're like, they don't know what I'm talking about knowledge wise, but their spirit knows, and their spirit gets excited, and they'll say, tell me more. I'm resonating with what you're saying. And they'll start to explain to them the earth's song lines, the meridians within the earth. You'll notice a lot of homeless people sit on those grid lines, because Spirit's had me do a lot of earth work. And I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Like, really? What a time we are living, Eva. I mean, I was always shown I was going to do end time stuff. When I say end time, I mean end time of maritime time, the season of bitterness. Maritime is that pirating law. Ma means bitterness. The season of bitterness is over, because Mary Magdalene's energy's pouring in. She is the Amma energy that was shown through the fractal of Christ. And yeah, the divine wedding between the bride is happening now.
Yeah, definitely. And there are so many people who are starting to I don't know if you ever met Alexandra, but she also mentioned it, like she was talking to Mary Magdalene for the first time right now. So definitely a pouring in of energies. Everything is happening right now. There's a lot of energies going on there, and if you just quiet yourself down, or I'm quiet myself down, or whoever listening, you can actually start to sense and hear and feel those energies that are coming in. And I love those vibrations. And for those who doesn't know that the fire horse is 1966, I just want to mention that, because I'm born at the fire horse too. So
yeah, I've been told we were the women that were burned by the system. The fire horse energy is very fast, and I've struggled with judgment. You probably can relate to this, Eva, in that people can't keep up with you. What they fall in love with you, they leave you for, because you make them somehow feel like, I don't know, they well up with judgment or jealousy because they see that what you're doing. But that's taken a lot of unlearning too for me. I'm like, oh, I've been given visions by the Spirit actually of many leaving me, and that's happened over and over. But I saw this vision where I was feeding them at the end, and they all sat at a big long table and I was feeding them, and they said, sorry, we just didn't get you, and now we realize you had to run ahead. So I do that with deliciousness now. Even if somebody leaves me, instead of crying, like I used to get really sensitive about it, I'd say, oh, I'll see you at the end game. I'm doing this for us. You know, we are one. And it's given me a lot of, that vision's given me a lot of heart healing because it's hard to run ahead. You want to stay with the crowd, don't you? But you can't, because this is your anointing. This is you. You signed up for this, girlfriend. And it's the energies of 9. Like in my birth date numbers, I have 6s and 9s, and I totally get why now. You know, I totally get why. Humanity is 6, God's number's 9. Boom shaka. That's the uniting. Like it's gorgeous, you know. Here we are.
Here we are, yeah, and universe can let you stand in a waterfall for a while, and then it will just smack you in the back and say, move on. So
that's it. You get like a push, right? I love that you mentioned rest. I had I was having a teeny nap. I do naps on purpose the other day, and I heard in my nap, oh, you're resting for all of your ancestors because none of them could. And so as soon as I awoke, I said, the portal's now open. Cross now. The portal's open for all of you. I stand in the gap. Now, people may not understand this standing in the gap thing, but it's a vibration for the bloodline. And I've always felt guilty for resting because I'm quite hyperactive and I love to work hard. And this last few years, Spirit's just like, nah, take a chill pill. You don't need to work for money anymore. Money comes to you, you attract it.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I actually talked about resting with my sister when I drove home from work this morning. So we were talking about this, like how we always try to fill every empty space that we have with something new to do. And when we actually don't have anything to do, we're getting so up in you know, looking for something to do, so you forget how to rest.
Yeah.
It feels so good of just turning everything off and just be.
I think so. Just being is who you would. I mean, yeah, God creates and God rests. And this, I once I realized, Spirit showed me that Mary Magdalene bankrolled Christ's ministry. I was like, oh, boom shaka.
Okay. No,
nobody talks about that.
No. Do you want to mention something more about that?
Well, I just think this feminine energy, even my husband's reiterating, my husband's a seer. He sees things. He has his angels always come and communicate with him. And I don't tell him all my kooky stuff that I pull in, because we're not, like, even though we're married, he can't hear me, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? It's vibrational. So I release judgment, because I used to try to tell everyone what I hear, but I realize now that's not wisdom. I used to think that the downloads were for everyone, but they're not. Like, they're esoteric downloads. So I need to hold them and set the intention that I'm sent my people like you and people like you have in your collective. And I'm really grateful to be meeting those types, because it's hard to keep these secrets. But Mary Magdalene energy, it's the feminine, right? Like, it's the fractal of the subconscious mind coming to the point of healing state. It's the moon side of it's the syncing of the left and right hemisphere of the brain with the Christos light, the anointings operating for healing. First she was healed and delivered, and then she loved the most. And doesn't love provide for? Like, energetically speaking, you're tapping into Mother Earth energy in a healed state through us as portals, pulling in the light from above, and we will be given back the gold and the abundance because we have greater things to do. And it's this feminine energy. My husband woke up one night out of a dream and he goes, the women are going to start ruling again. I've even had prophetic men that were running in some sticky energies prophesy that over me. They're like, you're going to speak and there's going to be a lot of men that rise up against you. Well, I rebuked that because I love men. You know, in my younger years, I got caught up in the women's liberation movement, definitely, with my roots of abuse from a masculine role model. But I recognize now that the feminine energy is the energy that attracts. Look at the egg with the sperm. Right, there are many sperm, but there's only one egg. So we're tapped in. This is why Christ lifts up the lamb, lifts up the bride above the head. It's all symbols and fractals of the feminine energy is going to be lifted higher because wisdom works from the highest realm of heaven. And wisdom doesn't need to strive to earn. Wisdom just is. Wisdom just sits. Wisdom doesn't need to defend herself. Wisdom is the highest state of consciousness, I think. And this is why Solomon, when he was given wisdom, had attracted everything. He got everything. Got a little bit wrong at the end, but let's see what happens, Eva, because I don't think we're going to need to strive to earn a living in order to do our spiritual gifts anymore. You know, a lot of people have said to me, oh, Michelle, if you try to do this work full time, nobody pays for it. That's kind of true. Like, people don't value their own health, or they only come when they're desperate, right? Isn't that sad? That I see it as preventative. Energy work is preventative medicine. It's not Band-Aid medicine like the other alternates. But we don't love ourselves enough to step into preventative, whereas the ancients did.
No, true.
The ancients got this.
Definitely. You're giving us a lot of think about, and you are so accurate with words. So yeah, you kind of capture the whole thing in a energetic field that just felt so good when you were talking about or explaining this. So yeah, kind of get moved about that. But I do love it, and the feminine is rising, and it's not about taking power away from anyone else. It's a balance that's taking place. Oh, I love this. Oh, I could talk to you for hours or listen to you for hours, but we are going to round up here. But is there something that you want to address? Is there something you want to promote? Are you going to have something, you know, an opening or event or anything?
I would love that. We are actually starting an online collective. So I would love to mention that, you know, for a really small amount to join a collective. One, so that we get a teeny bit of passive income. Sometimes without an energy exchange, people don't commit. We've been doing things for many years for free. And I see that as my offering, my heart test, and I've heard that I passed the test on that, thankfully. So yeah, we are going to give weekly videos, updates, using the knowledge that Kristen and I have from the healing room collectively. So she's working crystal energy. She's amazing, man. If I work on a client that has some very heavy, dense energies, she'll often come and go, oh my God, you're not back yet. Hold this, do that, blah, 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 and pulls me back. It's very nice. She works with feng shui. She works with akashics, as I mentioned. And so that's all your past life stuff, which I didn't know about. But even Christ mentioned, so I receive it because Christ mentioned that John the Baptist was operating using the spirit of Elijah. Nobody noticed, he said. That made me laugh. I was like, ooh, how is that possible? Okay, gotcha. So when we see things from that perspective, we can see that every collective group has some truth. Isn't that beautiful? And so we want that group to be open to all without judgment, without labels. And yeah, I'd love to. I'll keep you in touch once we've got the links.
That's beautiful, because we can add it to this to this post. When will that take place?
We're working on it now. So
Yeah.
I would say in the next few weeks that'll be up and running. It's linked into our new collective website, which is called thehealingroom.au. So yeah, that's a birthing out of eKa. So eKa is now birthing other collective groups with other gorgeous people. And when we're speaking feminine, there are men running in this amazing feminine energy too. So I don't want people to misunderstand that, in that it's just for women, although women will be rising up, and they are.
I do think that most people grasping that right now, that the when we are talking about feminine and masculine energy, actually doesn't have to do with sex or the physical body. It's pure energy. So that is the balance act, but we have to embody it somehow. Well, that's so amazing. I do love that you came on here and talked about your story and what you have been going through to reach where you are right now. You are so vibrant, and I just love you. So
I love you too, Eva. Thank you so much for this gorgeous opportunity. I see it as a divinely orchestrated through the spirit that abides in you. And thank you for your beautiful gifts, and especially your painting and your artwork. I recognize and acknowledge how important our creators are in this realm to bring joy and peace and light through the act of flow. Flow state quickly links to gamma state. So yes, singing into your artwork is magical.
yeah, well, thank you for those words. And thank you so much to everyone who's tuning in right now or later on, because this will be a recording. It's live right now, but it will be uploaded, so you can watch it whenever you want to watch it. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Michelle. And well, take care, and we will see each other later. Bye-bye.
Bye, lovely.
Bye.
Bye.
So yeah.